Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our admin. If you have any story that you want to share with me, please hit me on my WhatsApp number and please come with your stories. And we want your stories, even if you are in America, please bring your own confession. Even if you are in Jamaica, sometimes I see some comments of our listeners who are saying that they will be in Jamaica, in America, Tanzania, Kenya, Namibia, wherever you are from. Please do come with your own confession. It does not mean that it has to be about rituals and rituals. You can just come with your confession so that we can also hear and learn from your own story. So there is a message that was forwarded to me by one of our admin, and the message it reads like this. Hello, how are you? Can you please post my own story? Is anonymous. My name, I'll call myself Ifoma, and I am a 22-year-old. I am a college student here in Lagos, Nigeria. And this is the story of how I made a choice that has haunted me ever since. You know, I grew up in a strong Christian family. My mom and my dad, they were very prayerful people. I never imagined that this was the life that I was going to take. My life would take such a dark turn. But here I am, confessing my sins and the consequences that are now following me. When I was still growing up, when I would see these girls, those ones that would be chasing after all the men that had money, I would look at them with such disgust. I never thought that it was going to be me one day. Never me doing such a thing. I had the love of my life, even though he was as broke as I was, but I loved him because he was someone whom I used to pray with. But even when I left the village, when I came to the city, I had promised him that I was going to return, or he was going to come and join me in the city. But the city really swallowed me and it changed me. I grew up in a modest family. So one thing about our family was that even though I am the second of the 5 children, we were neither rich, neither broke. We did not go to bed hungry, but we never had enough food. I still remember on many nights, my dad will always leave the food that he had in his plate, even though we knew that he was still hungry. But he wanted to make sure that we will go to bed okay. And he used to say that on a hungry stomach, one cannot study well, because we used to study throughout the night. So he would make sure that we would eat the food. My parents, especially my dad, worked really hard and they were struggling to make ends meet. And we were living in a very small apartment in name Hidden. And though we lacked many things, my parents ensured that we were all in school. My father was very strict when it came to education. He said that education is the key to success. But when I came to the city, I did not expect that the city life was going to be that tough. I thought that I had God's covering, I had the grace of God, and when I was in the city, everything was going to be okay. But life in the city is really tough, and I was surviving on the little money, like real little money that my parents can send me. It was nearly impossible. I wanted more than just survival. I wanted to enjoy life, to wear the same clothes that the other girls that I was going to college with, they were wearing the latest clothes. They used your iPhones. If it was not an iPhone, a good Samsung or a iPhone, and not our like fake Androids that we were using. So when I would hang out with them, in most places here in Lagos, I would feel out of place, and I made that decision, as painful as it was to become a slay queen. It took me a very long time, and this was when I got into university, even though I still had that determination that as a Christian, you need to live a good life. I had always had that dream of living a good life, but now with no money, the dream seemed far from reality. That was when I met this other girl whom I'll call Shioma, not her real name. She was a girl who seemed to have it all: money, designer clothes, expensive weaves, and she was dating rich guys, and most of them, they were older than she was. So we became friends, and I think that she picked me up because she just wanted someone, when she would be going around shopping, someone to carry her bags. And not long after that, that was when I asked her how she managed to live so well despite being a student. She laughed and she said, Babe, na street sense, you go they use your beauty well, them go pay. At first I didn't understand what she meant, but soon she introduced me to the world of runs, girls in brackets, your slay queens who dated wealthy men, usually married in exchange for money and gifts. It started small. I would go out with men for dinner and they would give me money just for my company. But as time went on, it all escalated. The more that I got, the more that I wanted. One evening, Chioma introduced me to a man whom I'll call Chief. Chief, he was a wealthy businessman, much older than us, probably I can say in his late 50s. So she told me that he had a reputation of being a generous, kind man, and I was excited to meet up with this man. That night, we went on a high-end hotel in Victoria Island. Chief did not waste any time. He handed me an envelope with 200,000 naira and promised me more if I spent the night with him. It was the most money that I had ever seen in my entire life. Without thinking of the consequences, that was when I agreed to sleep with Chief. But when we got to the room, something felt off. So Chief, he had this strange aura around him, something that was dark, like he did not want to be touched. I don't know, like if you have ever been with someone and when you try to touch them all over, they are always resisting. So I wanted to impress him. That was when I started undressing him. But then actually, when I undressed him, that was when I nearly screamed. I screamed because his penis was rotten. There is no other way I can describe it. It looked diseased, decayed, and it smelled like foul. I wanted to run, but the thought of money made me stay, and the power that this man has. I told myself that it was just one night, then it was going to be over. Even though I did not want, he ended up sleeping with me. We slept together. The experience was horrific. The smell that was coming out of his private part, it was truly terrifying. I felt sick to my stomach, but I tried to hide my disgust. Chief seemed pleased. This was when he asked me if I was going to give him a blowjob when his manhood was becoming weak and he wanted it to be hard. He said hard as a rock, and then he got off from on top of me and I went on top of him. As disgusting as it was, I gave him a good blowjob and he seemed to be pleased though, and gave me an extra. He gave me an extra more than he had given me the first time, and he said that you are such a good girl and I'm going to give you this. He pulled out another envelope, and this envelope that he pulled out, I saw that there in that envelope there was exactly 500,000 naira, so much money that had been given to me. I have never had handled so much money in my life before, and I was excited and disgusted at the same time. In the morning, I left the hotel with the money, but I could not shake the feeling of dread that followed me. Days turned into weeks and I tried to forget what had happened, but then something changed. That was when I started having irregular, extremely painful periods. The pain is always intense and I cannot even move when I am on my periods. It always feels like my insides are being torn apart. I know that there is something that is wrong, and to go to the hospital I am too scared, and I am even afraid that they might find something wrong with me. Reason as to why I am scared to go to the hospital. I do not want them to tell me what kind of a disease I am suffering from, and I am scared of Chief because of his power. The pain is always worse. Sometimes it does not even happen on my periods. Sometimes I can feel sharp pains in my lower abdomen, like when I am busy, so much that I can't focus on my studies. Sometimes I do miss my classes, and there are people that notice that there is a change in me, especially when I am back home. And how can I admit that I am sick because I slept with a man who has a rotten penis just for money? This is my own confession. I was once told by this other girl that after she slept with a man, when she went to the clinic, she was told that she had severe pelvic inflammatory disease, and it's like a sort of untreated sexually transmitted infection And she said that it was very hard for her to get cured. It took her, she said, 8 months, and she was always in pain. So I am scared. I am like a woman who is broken physically, spiritually, and emotionally. The money that I was given by Chief, that money, when I sit down to calculate, I don't even know what I used the money for. I pray that one day God is going to forgive me for my sins, and I pray that God can heal me. I am scared truly to go to the hospital. Dear listeners, right, there was a message that was sent to me by one of our admin who received this message. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world.